Recording.
How you doing? My name is Thomas, and this is Marissa. We've been together for 11 years. We are father and mother to Christian and Madison Beil, who were removed from our care by DCS in warrantlessly in what month was it? November
8th.
November 8th. This whole thing started out by the DCS worker interviewing our kids at school without our consent, which in a neglect situation would be against the law. So after knowing that, kids came home, told us, I immediately went up to DCS, talked to Tina, and wanted to make sure that I stayed in front of it. And from the moment that I got there, she treated me like a criminal. And basically, even interviewing the kids, I asked her how are the kids? I mean, they looked fine. They're both of our kids are. Let me say this: Christian is number one in his class. He's a sports fanatic, football fanatic, loves football. We throw the football. We used to play every day. Madison is at the top of her class. She actually got 8 awards this year when she graduated kindergarten. So first and foremost, our kids were already educated and were driven to be the best in their class because we believe in it. We believe in education. So the whole thing started by a false report made by a specific person that we do know, and we have proof that it was made false, but it doesn't matter.
In February.
It doesn't matter. So Tina Canales was the social worker that removed our kids in October. So upon them coming into our lives, right before they were removed, we had a TDM meeting, and basically it was supposed to be a neutral person, and then DCS worker and her boss. And from the get-go, it was already one-sided. We didn't get to talk. We didn't get to tell our side. It was basically do this or we're going to remove your kids. At one point during the TDM, the facilitator asked my wife to leave because she was crying, and it's because they were telling us if we didn't do this, then they were going to take our kids, and we couldn't fathom why. Even in court, Tina Canales admitted that our kids were healthy. They were exactly where they were supposed to be. They were well-fed, well-dressed, clean, all of the above, and still our kids were taken up under what they call exigent circumstances. So,
which were not marked on the safety,
right?
Our temporary custody notice.
So after the TDM, they made her mom in-home safety monitor, which never got. We never got to even go that far. They basically, we did a drug test, and they wanted hair follicle, and
they got us to submit to the drug test. And once we said okay, they demanded after we signed saying that we had to do a hair follicle. That's all they would accept after
Absolutely.
that.
So they did the hair follicle, and we did. I'll be honest. We over time we've been together 11 years. We've recreationally done stuff, but never in excess and never around the kids. We were always adults about it. Kids come first. The fact that we were forced into it because they said they would remove our kids regardless. So we went ahead and did it. So at that point, go ahead.
She waited 2 weeks. She got the results, and 4 days later, after she got the results, she removed my children from school.
And called it exigent circumstances, which having results for 4 days and coming in as getting our kids as an emergency is just ridiculous. First off, the report was made in February. We didn't get first contact with DCS until October. So that's 8 months of not being talked to about it, and for them to say that it was an emergency circumstance when it took them 8 months, and then especially after the test, it took them 4 days to remove our kids. They didn't tell us. They removed them from their school. Go ahead.
And then she waited 4 days to remove them because when she removed them on Tuesday, right before Veterans Day, the 72 hours fell on a holiday, so she didn't have to file the petition for another week after that. And we had no contact with our kids through all this. Whenever I did get to speak to them the night they were removed, she hung up on me while I was telling them I loved them.
Come to find out, we did our research, and we throughout this whole process have definitely done extensive documentation. Everything we have recorded, every document we have saved, everything that's happened, every little situation or anything, case aid, whether it be a social worker or whatever, we have documented and made sure that we we don't forget, and we kind of make sure that everything that goes into this, because we love our kids and we would do anything for them, we want to make sure that even after this is said and done, we don't want it to happen to anyone else. So we definitely want to pursue a lawsuit against them, and we feel like we have probable cause because they not only violated our Fourth Amendment rights but also our 14th Amendment, and just basically we have the right to raise our family without government interference, and that's exactly what they did, was interfere without cause throughout this whole thing. And we're telling them the whole time we know who made the allegation. It's a false allegation. Everything else in the allegation was put to rest once she interviewed the kids and once we met her or whatnot. So after TDM, they moved the kids. They ended up going to
a foster
home for a month, and
while in the foster home, my son was choked.
They separated my baby girl.
They separated them, and my daughter, every time I seen her, she looked like she was sick, tired. Her hair was just disgusting. And
the kids were so clueless on what was going on because they love us and we were happy, and there was no reason for removal. There was no even trying on DCS's part to do anything in home. It was automatic extended circumstance that they removed them. So upon going up there, as soon as they removed them, we went up to the DCS office. I called the cops and said that DCS worker kidnapped my kids, and got there, and she laughed at us. I saw her in the background.
She refused to talk to us.
And the cops, so I called the cops, they called the cops. The cops ended up making us leave, and it was devastating. We couldn't see our kids from that point on. We barely got to talk to them. If anything, we are phenomenal parents. What we do on the side in our own private space is our do. We've never had a criminal record. We've had never been arrested. We've had traffic violations, don't get me wrong, but never anything that could be criminal, that could be considered anything bad. We actually pay taxes, we work, we try and do the best we can, and we love everything about our kids. I mean, we're the parents that we did extracurricular activities. My son played football. My daughter was going into dance right before she was taken, and
she was also hit by a truck, and after the removal, they state that she's okay, that she needs no further help, but every time we get around a car, she freaks out. So obviously she does still need some help, but they're refusing to let me get her that help.
So court date starts, we go to the first one, and basically they're telling us, get your support papers, get people that you know together to stand on your side. And we did all these things, and we get to court, and none of it is taken into consideration. Not one paper looked at, not one support thing looked at. Basically, it was DCS. What they said was taken as fact to the courts, and we had no say. Our lawyers are court appointed, so they were used to this, probably too used to this. It was more habit to my lawyer. Every time I tried to object or say something that I felt was needed to be said, I was shushed and told that, well, this is how this and goes, as if I was just another one in the sheep, another sheep in the herd. It was nothing individual about our case. Between the lawyers, the judge, and the AAG, we were made out to look like criminals, and honestly, without cause.
And after that court date, it was found out that our caseworker, Tina Canale, is actually friends with the family who made the false report in February. That she actually parties with one of the uncles to that family.
We get to the dependency court first round because we had to have a continuation, but the first time, the judge at the end of it says, I think, talking to DCS, Tina Canales, and Kumar, he meant that they needed a better reason for taking our kids because what they had wasn't sufficient enough. So at that point, we felt like we maybe had a little chance. Throughout this whole thing has been no communication. We've went through the ombudsman, we've went up the channel. I actually wrote the county commissioners the day they were took. I wrote the senator. I did my part and to bring awareness, and honestly, we were told there was nothing we could do, that basically DCS had the power. So we were devastated, and all we could do was voice our concerns, but to who? It's so unsettling how there's been a lack of communication and information told to us. We're basically put on the side. Our kids are at this point they're gone, and whoever had control or whoever was taking care of them had full kind of
rights.
Yeah, full rights, and we had none. So the first dependency, like I said, went decent. We were stoked at first. We felt like we had a chance. It was about a month later before the second dependency. April 3rd. And this time it had nothing to do with the kids. It was basically because of the situation, because of DCS removing our kids. We've been together 11 years. We actually got married while the kids were removed, and the kids met us up at the courthouse and everything. But we've been through a lot together because it's unsettling to be at home without your kids and to be so quiet. And of course we took it out on each other because we didn't know who else we could blame. And we went through a hard time at first. It's been 7 months now, but the first couple months were the roughest. We had the cops called in, and it was more of called because we didn't want it to go too far, and that was thrown against us in court as if it had been something that had been happening over time, which it had only happened after DCS removed the kids. So we wrote objections and corrections to the petition that was DCS had filed, which was not taken into account. Anything we did, all the paperwork, all the awards that we had of our kids, the scrapbooks, the pictures, the support papers, none of it was even asked about, looked at, and we were told to get these things ready because we would have our day in court. Well, they ended up finding beyond a preponderance of the evidence, which we still don't understand how, that they were going to continue to, or that they would become wards of the state, which was the hardest day ever, and that was the last court date. We have court on July 10th. Shortly after the dependency court date, my lawyer dropped me because I was asking too many questions, trying to find out too much info, because I still didn't understand what was going on and why we had no say or no rights. I have yet to talk to my new lawyer. I know his name, and that's it. He has not contacted me. I've contacted his office. I've left him messages. We get nothing. My wife's lawyer also filed a motion to not be her lawyer anymore, and she got assigned a new lawyer, which she finally got in contact with a couple of days ago. And throughout this whole thing, even the DCS worker we have, his name is Kumar Hemant, and he doesn't understand English like you would want him to. The dialect that we have as Americans, he doesn't understand. So when we're asking him questions, he can't answer. He's basically a puppet. All he says is, I'll find out, or I'll get, but he doesn't understand what we're trying to say or what we're saying and how we're saying it. He doesn't understand the words that we use, or just honestly American dialect, just English dialect.
You said that.
Sorry. So it's really hard to communicate, and he's very hands-off. He basically, throughout that time when we did go to court, he had told us nothing about his concerns about us. We had already completed IOP classes. We did parenting classes, which we completed before the first court date. I know I'm going back and forth. I apologize, but this is all coming to me. Let me let my wife talk for a minute, because
parenting classes, IOP counseling, individual counseling on my part, I still attend because they say my anxiety and depression, which was situational due to a job loss, they use that against me. Also, some incidences that I had done against me by a peeping Tom, they used against me, saying that it makes me a liability to my child. Also, everything that I say to Kamar whenever it comes to my kids, that I don't want his haircut over cultural differences. The placement has told him that he doesn't care what he wants. Whenever he told him he didn't want it cut, said that he couldn't live in his house if he didn't cut his hair.
We have 2 hours a week with our kids. We haven't missed not one in 7 months. And let me ask you this. When is it not in the best interest of the child? Because we're their parents, and honestly, 2 hours a week is devastating. Every time we've seen our kids are bawling. They're wanting to come home. They still don't understand what's going on. We don't know it. We can't even tell them because we're told not to. We can't even be honest with them. It's beyond heartbreaking. 2 hours, and then we have to part ways, and it'd be a whole nother 7 days before we get to see them. If that's for the court, if the court decided that's best interest of the child, that's absurd. So
also, placement continues to talk ill of the parents to the children, told them why they are not with us, even though court said that we are not to speak to our children about the case. They continue to speak to my children illy about us. I have expressed these concerns with the case manager. He tells me that he has not spoken to placement, will not speak to placement about this. I've tried to get in hold of their guardian ad litem, and I cannot get in contact with her. Her name's Sarah Laughlin.
She has never asked our name, asked anything about us. She's supposed to be a court-appointed attorney for our kids to be in the best interest for them, and yet stood on the AAG side, basically went off of their paperwork and their allegations, and never took the time to even find out about what our kids felt or what we or who we are. So go ahead.
We are required to do testing twice a week. That we have complied with. I have been waiting almost 2 months on my parent aid to be assigned. They told me it would be 30-45 days after that, but I'm still waiting.
Which we told would be expedited during court, but yet DCS
is not expediting it.
It's a very slow process, yet they have every control. We are held to our standard that they want, but yet we have no questions answered.
Whenever I have problems with my caseworker, I continue to try and go up the ladder. I try and call supervisors. They don't call me back. I've tried calling Brian Adams, the program director at the Peoria office. He doesn't call me back. I've went as far to call the regional office, and I finally heard back from them today, who said that they would have Brian Adams get in contact with me. Still has yet to do that.
Mary Hoffman, we've talked to.
I talked to Mary Hoffman
contacted the senator's office.
She just cut all contact with me after,
after being questioned, and these questions are normal questions. Why are our kids gone? Why weren't there better?
I asked the caseworker just the other day why they are still pursuing my kids being out of home. Why it's not in the best interest of my children to bring them home, being that placement is talking ill of the parents, telling them that if they do this, do that they can't stay there. They have to go to a
give
group
them brand
home.
new clothes. We can't.
I sent brand new clothes. I have receipt tags attached. They refused those. I talked to the caseworker about that, and he said that that's their right, but they sit in court and say that I don't provide for my children, that I don't do this, that I don't do that, but every time I try, they refuse it and then use it against me.
We've jumped through hoops. We took 4 days out of the week. We were taking classes that were unnecessary.
I had to leave my job 4 days a week, early, every day,
and these are our kids. These are how beautiful they are. They're absolutely stunning. They're amazing kids. They're very infectious, smart to boot, active, happy-go-lucky. They love us and miss us very much, and we don't know what to tell them. We go to court on July 10th, and honestly, there's no reason, because we have been testing. Everything's been good. We've done our classes. We've already done everything that they've asked, so there's no reason for them to continue to be out of home. But the last court date really kind of showed us that
it doesn't matter.
We have no rights, that we have no say, that DCS is ultimate over everyone. And
in the beginning, I asked Kumar, even if with me doing everything they asked, when I could expect to get my children back, and he said even then that it would not be until September to November of this year, no matter what, pretty much.
We've spent countless hours researching case law. We've like I said, we have extensive documentation, and everything that we've read has said it's all about funding, and it goes all the way up the food chain.
So they unlawfully interviewed my children and my niece. They made my niece leave the state after that, but refused to let my kids leave with family, which I've requested that they go to.
And both sides of our family
both sides of our families have flew in to try and place the children with them. They refused to do that. They would rather keep them in a kinship than with family members. They have violated my constitutional rights over and over and over again. They still release my testing results to placement even after I demanded that they not get them because they're not letting me see my children.
We're jumping through hoops. We're spread thin. We are kind of at a. You think in America that you have freedom, and it's not free. It's nothing like that. It's basically an illusion. because from Tina Canales, the DC worker in the beginning, to Kumar, to the people in their office, the Brian Adams, the judges, our lawyers, the court appointed. It's absurd to think that we have no say in any of this, and we've tried. We've let them know. The first judge received my objections, and I wrote all of the county of commissioners, and it was taken into court as a document. I know, but never. I don't think anybody even looks at our specific case that's involved in our case. Not our lawyers, not the DCS worker that we've been given that doesn't speak English, that barely we can communicate with. We're devastated. We want our kids back, man. My son is my everything. My daughter's my everything. They're absolutely beautiful souls, and they don't deserve.
Even more than that, I want change in Arizona. I want change to the DCS office and the way that they work. I want change to the laws. I want them to abide by the laws.
It needs a complete rehaul, because we're from Texas. We've been out here 2 years, and because of someone that didn't like my wife, made a false allegation, we have had to jump through hoops, had our kids taken from us, traumatized. We're devastated. They're devastated. This is going to be years and years of trying to overcome what DCS has done in a few short months, because they can. Not because they had the right to, or they had reason to, but because Tina Canales basically from the get-go had a chip on her shoulder and made us an example. Basically pulled her power card and made us an example. We just want awareness. I think that's why we chose to do this. Is we'll keep fighting the good fight. We will not give up. We will do everything in our power to make sure that DCS does not get away with this, but we want awareness for everyone in Arizona, and not just Arizona, maybe even the world, because it's going on up under your noses. And I know it's hard to open up and take a stand, but if you can't stand for family or your kids or what's right, then what's it worth? What's it all worth? And what's life worth? Because my kids are my everything, our everything. When they were born, we've been such a close-knit, we've been through so much together, and our family unit was so tight and so strong that when they came in, DCS came in, it was such a blindside that it hasn't been the same since. My son, it takes about 30 minutes whenever we go to an actual, for them to even visit, for them to even warm up to us now, because of the lack of time we get with them. They just keep asking, and it's so hard to tell your kids that
they can't come home
when there's no reason for them not to. Please, if anything, let our story be something that inspires or even pisses you off enough to stand up, or to tell someone else to make a stand, to just share it. Please share it to anyone, because the more people that know, the better of chances we have. We've actually we've got alongside with Dell and Connor right now, and they're helping us and putting our word out there and getting loud about it, because we have been quiet. Even though we've been extensively documenting everything, we haven't had a voice yet, and we finally feel we have a voice through these guys that are trying to help and just bring awareness to what's going on in Arizona with the 40 kids taken a day warrantless. It's an epidemic here, and something's got to give. Something's got to change.
And that's another thing. In the 4 days that she had the test results to take in my children, she had time on Monday. She got the results on Friday. She could have got a warrant on Monday or Tuesday at the latest. She could have done that. She had time to do that, and she did not do that. So it's repulsive, honestly. She could have got that warrant. If she had enough evidence, she would have got that warrant, but she didn't. And then she waited a whole week.
What she said in court. She even told the court
that my kids were fine. There was no safety issues at home. There was no ever thing that my kids would ever be hurt, because we don't hurt our kids. We don't even spank our kids.
But yet, look at where we're at, 7 months in. We go to court next month on July 10th, her birthday, and
July 10th, 11:15.
And honestly,
at the juvenile court in
we
Phoenix.
don't know what to expect, because honestly, they've lied. They've done they've done anything they wanted to do, and we haven't had a say yet. So we're waiting for, if not our lawyers, somebody to just stand up, or even a judge just to stand out from the other judges, or from DC, from AAG's office, and just say enough's enough. There's no reason for these kids to be going. It's hard to minimize something that is everything to you. So I apologize if I've run on. I love my kids. I love my wife. I love my family, and we'll do anything for them. I just want our kids back, bottom line. And I want to make sure that if I can, I will do my part to make sure that it doesn't happen to any more families like this, that it's not fair and it's not right.
It is my mission to make sure that Arizona changes the way that they operate and what they do to kids.
So if they come home, we still will fight the good fight, and we will not go gentle into the good night. We will not give up. Figure's not an option when it comes to kids. They're innocent, and honestly, the horror stories that we've read and heard, we just don't want our kids to be another statistic. So thank you for your time. My name's Thomas once again. This is Marissa, and our kids' names are Christian and Madison Beil. They're amazing, and help us bring them home.